One, two, 4.
Welcome everyone. This is Joe Danger, the host of the Business 901 podcast. With me today is Brandon Brown. He is an associate for the W3 Group and delivers tangible and sustainable continuous improvement results as a Toyota Kata coach and lean instructor. Can you tell me a little bit about the Coaching Kata and how that is different than the Improvement Kata?
Yeah, the Improvement Kata really has those 4 steps that I talked about, those 4 routines: understanding the direction, grasping the current condition, establishing the next target condition, and moving toward the target condition with rapid PDCAs. All along that Improvement Kata process, there is a learner and a coach relationship. The learner is responsible for the process area, and he or she is responsible for overcoming obstacles. The coach is in a guiding mode as someone who has practiced the Improvement Kata in the past and has past experience with the methodology. They're competent to coach. And so in that process, once they have established the current condition, established a good target condition, with the coach guiding them all along the way, there then becomes a point where we are ready to execute the PDCA step. And the method of the Coaching Kata is to use the 5 Toyota Kata questions that Mike has suggested in his book and in his handbook online. Can switch over to another slide here and go to that. So the 5 questions are asked at the point where we go through the Coaching Kata routine. It's what really fosters the pattern of scientific thinking and teaching people how to think scientifically about solving problems. So the coach will ask the learner in a one-on-one coaching session, usually at the beginning of the day, at a predetermined time. The coach and learner meet in front of the storyboard that tells the story of the kata that's going on, and the coach asks, what's the target condition? And then the learner responds with kind of framing the target condition and what they're striving to achieve by a certain date, 1 week to 2 weeks out, possibly 3 weeks. Then the coach asks, once he understands the target condition, he asks the question, or she asks the question, what is the actual condition now? And these are framing type questions to get the coach reoriented with the process, and also to test the learner as far as their understanding and knowledge of the direction that they're going. As a PDCA cycle is performed, the card is usually flipped over and the reflection questions are asked. What was your last step, the coach would say. And the learner would respond with what experiment or step that they previously conducted. The coach wants to know what the expectation was, so he or she asks, well, what did you expect from that step? And the learner then explains what their anticipated outcome was going to be. The coach replies with what actually happened. So it's just stepping them through the PDCA step. And the learner reports on what actually happened. Either they refuted their hypothesis, or they confirmed it, or a new piece of data was revealed. A surprise may have happened in that particular experiment. And then finally, the coach would ask, what did you learn? And I've had clients say that that's probably the most powerful and developmental part of the Improvement Kata, Coaching Kata, is that person learning how to think scientifically and do better and better PDCAs as they're going forward. The coach then turns the card back over and asks about the obstacles. There's usually a parking lot of obstacles, of 4 to 5 to 6 obstacles that are preventing us from reaching the target condition. And the coach asks, what obstacles do you think are preventing you from reaching the target condition? And the learner usually goes over all of the obstacles that they're facing, that field of obstacles that we have the red circles around. He or she will revisit that from a learner standpoint. The coach asks, which one are you addressing now? And that's another key pivotal point in the Coaching Kata, to focus that learner on that particular obstacle. What the coach is thinking, or what they're trying to do, is get in line with how the learner is thinking, and they're trying to validate, is the learner addressing one obstacle that's related to their PDCA step that then in turn is going to help them achieve the target condition. The learner may be addressing an obstacle that the coach may find is off the map or ancillary to the PDCA experiment that they're striving to reach. So the coach may ask a few follow-up questions there to try and get the person back into what we call the Kata corridor of learning and thinking scientifically. If there's not a specific reason they're addressing that particular obstacle related to the target condition, we may guide that particular learner to address a different obstacle that may be, the data may be pointing us to a slightly different direction. Ultimately, the learner has to make that decision, and he asks the fourth coaching question, which is, what is your next step for your next PDCA or experiment? And the learner would then go to the PDCA form and describe what their next experiment is. The coach follows up with, what do you expect? Trying to find out if that learner has a hypothesis. Is that learner running an exploratory experiment? Many times they may be trying to run the operation in the target condition or simulate the process being ran in the target condition, because by running it in the target condition, we find all the reasons why the process won't work. So within limits, within safety, quality limits, we're not going to do anything that injures the worker or anyone in the area. We're not going to sacrifice quality by this, but we may have a few target condition parameters we want to try and run. That's a valid exploratory experiment that the learner may want to go through. The coach wraps up with the final question of asking, when can we go and see what we've learned from taking that step? And notice, Joe, that it doesn't say, when can we go and see what your results were? Let's go, when can we go and see whether you've made the experiment a success? Nowhere in that question is there a focus on someone meeting a predetermined set of objectives. It's when can we go and see what that learner has learned from executing that scientific PDCA cycle.
What's the best way for someone to contact you and learn more about Toyota Kata? Where would you point them?
I would point them, they can email me directly at brandon.brown@w3groupllc.com. They can go to our W3 website and meet all of our practitioners on there and make contact. There's a lot of resources, a lot of presentations, a lot of information that they can self-educate themselves a little bit more, a little bit further about that. But they can feel free to email me. My cell phone is usually always on. It's 479-856-1919. So I'm willing to take a call and discuss opportunities and where companies feel that their pain might be, where they might be able to improve.
Heck, he even took my call, so which I thank you very much. This podcast will be available on the Business 901 iTunes Store and the Business 901 website. So thanks everyone for listening.
Thanks, Joe.
Better